two-sided map, and if you are a fan of Oxygen, then you are obviously very happy with this one because they are going to be starting on defense. The most banned operator on attack is Thatcher, and it doesn't seem like that's going to slow down at any point. He is gone from action. Who will join him? Usually we see a Maverick ban here. We've seen some Flores bans. Could potentially see something a bit more creative. But there he is. Flores is banned out by XSET. They don't want to have to deal with him or his rat drones.
Solid ban, I think, on Oregon. We're talking about the map where there are so many rigid positions that a Flores drone can be excellent at dealing with. Specifically, you'll see it in even ranked. Elbow is a big one. So getting rid of that Flores, solid ban. Thatcher's your typical stuff. Wamai's more typical too. Mira, same. You know, there's nothing surprising about any of this. And it's all based on the state of the game and the map that we're playing on, less counter bans. I don't think I've seen an actual counter ban since SI. It's usually where we see that some of those come out. But now that that's done, one thing that we will have to note here is that Valkyrie is not banned, which opens up that opportunity for the defenders should they choose to go for it. Not everyone will. When you bring a Valkyrie, you have to forego some other type of harder utility that can at times be very useful.
So, very first defense is going to begin down below Michael, and from OXG, you see a lineup that is reminiscent of a utility soak meta that we had not too long ago. Those Melusi Banshees have received a whack of changes now. They open up, you can shoot them. They also work through bullet holes, or rather not bullet holes, punch holes. Apologies here, since bullet holes have been changed out. So obviously that's going to factor in a little bit differently. You've also got the Goyo shields as well that will work as impediments. With Wamai banned, expect to see Jaeger every single round. And Smoke still brings a deployable shield too, as does Yaga on this Ella. And Ella sees a lot of play over by Blue because she can hold down Pillar, she can hold Harry Potter, she can hold Blue stairs, or back tower stairs, and then she can hold Blue too.
Yeah, really powerful operator with that shotgun, as you mentioned. And I think she's very situational, but if you could find the right position for her, there's basically nothing the enemy can do to dislodge her other than, you know, nades and stuff like that. But that often means that you're going to have to deviate some of your soft destruction from destroying other things that you would have liked to get. The thing that I'm really most surprised about on the operator selection right now is actually the Melusi. I would think that Melusi is going to start to fall out of favor, and especially with the Valkyrie as an option, that would probably be a favorable choice here. But it's still a warning system, and it's a large range warning system at that. You know, barbed wire is good, but Melusi Banshees can be better.
Imagine using all of them in conjunction with one another. I think the only barbed wire that we saw on the board, by the way, is Verticals. Yeah, Foxe and Laxing with the Nitro cells, Yaga and Vert with the deployable shields, which should have been put down at this point. Foxe is playing in that elbow position that you mentioned too. It doesn't look like he has a shield in front of him, though, which I think is interesting because the meta right now is that you put a shield down in that spot, and that's where you anchor down. When you lose control of that area, whether it be a Goyo shield or a deployable shield, you just scoot back to the site. Foxe still has one of them in his pocket, so it's possible he can put one down at some point, but not for now.
Oh, by the way, we're seeing the SMG on the Ella. Now, as of the changes that were made to the attachments, the barrels, I think it's compensator. I tested it a while ago. I'm pretty sure it's compensator makes that gun actually really much easier to control. So that SMG is once again somewhat viable if you've got some good reactions on it.
Obviously, the shotgun also works in that position. She's got one of the best shotguns on defense, often overlooked by players because they want to play that run and gun playstyle with her. As we talk about all of this, the execute is not quite happening yet, but it's starting to shape up. XSET's focus is over towards the back portion of the map. They're looking at back tower, which is what's got Vertical and Kino's attention. They've also got XSET posted up by Blue. Creators and Drip arm in arm, trying to just break out that utility, and now enter Filthy. The Nomad is there as well. Grenades get tossed out and damage is done to Kino. Creators trying to stun around the corner to see if somebody's over by Elbow. There goes the Goyo shield. Another in front of him. First kill goes to Razor. Nice job on the nade there onto Kino. Yaga refrags onto Filthy. Both teams trade one. Creators just looking to sneak up as he now goes on a drone over by that elbow position, which Foxe will see. Time to hit the Goyo shield and maybe get out of there? No, he's going to leave it up and not have his position be known for now. Vertical takes out Razor as XSET are getting closer and closer towards the site. Creator's attention is towards back tower stairs. He misses Yaga! 2 kills for Yog before he's shut down by Drip. And Drip, being the last member of XSET, has 3 more players from OXG to find. This has been a chaotic brawl so far. 25 seconds left, and Drip will try to bank the nade. Nice toss on up. He'll grab that diffuser. 2 more for him to find as well, looking towards Freezer. This can be very well played by Drip, but all OXG needs to do is just simply wait, as Drip clearly has no intel. He'll go for kills, and just to find Foxy in a position where, well, the Goyo shouldn't have been. Laxing catches the cross as Drip's attention is in one direction, and OXG takes the very first round.
Well, Yaga clearly showing us why he chose the SMG on Ela, and it worked out great for him. Playing by Pillar, he managed to pick up 3 kills, and that completely defanged the attack coming in through blue. Not enough pressure on the tower stairs. After that initial player tower stairs died, Oxygen were able to isolate the push through blue without worrying about the crossfire. And that's, well, obviously that's an ideal situation for the defenders. So, a little bit more of a split push needed there from XSET. Stacking their players in slightly different positions. I also like what we saw on Elbow from Oxygen, specifically Foxe. He was playing on the Goyo over there, and he managed to get a bait out with the first Goyo shield. Once that was destroyed, the enemy, XSET, thought that it was clear on Elbow. But no, there's another shield. This one plays different than usual. Instead of doing your typical, shield far back facing for the cross, Foxe had a shield kind of placed passively so it couldn't be destroyed easily. And that made all the difference because those 2 shields, you've got the ADS is regenning, and now it's another layer of defense, which means Elbow is more controllable. He left it at 40 seconds left, but that made total sense given that there was still pillar control and the time was dwindling for the attackers, plus the man advantage was dwindling as well. So I like the play overall from Oxygen there. Really great play on their toes, and XSET wasn't able to adapt to it.
We talked about how pillar control is often one of the hardest places to gain a foothold for the attackers, especially if you don't have everything at your disposal. If you've burned out those Zofia concussions, for example. If there's a mute on the board or a Mozzie on the board and you don't have drones, or if there's a Vigil playing above and you haven't cleared out meeting either, if you can't chase out that player who is positioned over by pillar, whether they have a shotgun, whether they have a high rate of fire SMG, you are in trouble, because if your execute is coming from that direction and that portion of the map, pillar control is absolutely crucial. Teams are not going to be able to pull off a take by taking that elbow wall and then pushing in, because you'll get immediately collapsed upon by the remaining defenders. That said, that's round number 1 in the books. We now shift focus towards round number 2, and it's going to be a top floor defense over on dorms.
By the way, speaking of shotguns, I think Yaga is using one. I've never actually seen Elysian bring the shotgun here. I think it's the suppressed one. Yeah, I don't even know. I've never seen that shotgun played in professional play, as far as I can remember. It's neat to see.
Use it at SI, by the way.
Yeah, I said I've never seen it. I'm sure it has been, but it's a weird choice there, and I wonder how that's gonna work out for Yaga.
Well, I mean, he could have absolutely ran that shotgun on Ela. Obviously, with the way that he played the Ela, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as effective. But if you're going to play tight angles and you're going to hold upstairs in a way that everybody's going to need to come to you and you rely on the rest of your team to take longer range engagements, then the shotguns are totally fine. Look at all the mute and look at all of the smoke players and how that happens. And you can make it work perfectly. In this particular instance, I don't know what Thomas was doing, but he finds Foxe first, and Foxe prevails in that ensuing duel. It was XSET to get the first blood in the previous round. This time around, it's OXG. One of the toxic canisters will go off at the top of White Stairs, which will stop Creator's ascent. He's got razors with him as well. Nitro Cell does a bit of damage, a chunk taken away, but nobody dies from it yet.
This is all just vying for big window control, and XSET have succeeded in pushing all of the defenders away from the big window, but what is that really going to accomplish in the end? We got 50 seconds left. Still plenty of denial here for the defenders. And lots of information for those Valkyrie cams as well. This is still going to be a difficult push despite getting the little bit of control that XSET wanted. There's also roamers. Vertical is waiting to flank from the top of Freezer Stairs. He could wreak havoc on this attack.
Presumably he sees that air jab as well. His time to go is now, though, as the rest of his team snaps their fingers. Creator's attention is in that direction, and he tries to stun out the Jaeger. Easy kill. He's just neck and neck with Razor, though. On the stairs, they'll have to push in through a single doorway, and that can be a problem. Smoke will continue to linger with 20 seconds remaining. It's a 3v3, anybody's round at this point. Yaga, as you talked about, sitting on the stairs, shotgun in hand, he downs one, not able to connect more than that. It's going to leave Creators in a 1v2. He'll have 9 seconds to pull this one off. He does some damage, though, but not enough. Still looking for it, but he gets wrapped around on by Kino, and it's 2 in a row for OXG.
Yeah, the biggest thing, Parker, is that I'm not really sure what the long-term game plan for XSET was, to be frank. Now, I must assume I didn't see where Thomas died. I must assume it was big window because it looked like it was that push was supposed to be a big window downstairs split, which is totally viable as a strategy. But typically, when we see that strategy deployed, we see somebody on games repel or dorms repel. We'll see much more pressure on the big window. You'll notice that there was not very much there. Oxygen were able to freely maneuver around the big window after that first death. And I think someone else died on the attacking side by big window as well. We just didn't catch it on screen. And the lack of pressure on those off angles, other than just the straight push from below, was ultimately what undid XSET. Also, the roamers, while they didn't see amazing success, it's still something that we saw XSET having to focus on through the whole round. They're having to worry about, oh yeah, I got a Jaeger coming up behind me. That, even if nothing else, shaves off seconds and shifts your focus, preventing you from being more adaptive to the actual sight hold. I don't know, it was an odd take from XSET, not necessarily in the idea, because again, viable strategy, we've seen it before, but in the execution itself.
5 seconds left.
It's the third site that we'll see pop up now for XSET. It's going to be down below. No mess hall kitchen. It's going to be kitchen and meeting, which usually involves a heavy roam above. And this is something that OXG likes to do on both attack and defense. On attack, watch for Foxay to be in this spot above as a sledge. On defense, he's going to play up there as a lesion. This is a bit of an odd lineup from OXG. Bringing both a Capcan and a Legion is not normal, to say the least.
No, it's very different. It's going to be a slowdown type strategy. You pair it with the Mozzie too. That's going to hurt the droning a lot. And then you've got the Capcans and the Legions that are potentially protected from the drones, depending. That's already success there, by the way, on the Mozzie Pest. And Laxing might be predicted where he is, but he's not known because the drones are protected, are not able to get the information that they want. And you can see there's guessing going on here from Razor. He's trying to figure out what they're dealing with.
Oh, Laxing, has he been spotted out there? He has, yeah, so he has to swing for the window. By the way, if they try to drone through that window, there's a Mozzie Pest there. What's intel that they might have on him? As they now drop, grenade primed and ready, Laxing might need to fly on out. It goes over top of his head. XSET gets the very first pick, by the way. That's the thermite of Tommy, takes out vertical. He's still watching this angle, and Foxay feeds himself right to it, swings onto the doorway. That was a hero play on his end. Laxing nets one kill in Armory, but now he's got the attention of none other than the thermite. A flash goes in. Laxing is able to evade it for now. He's got an opening to his right. Unable to do too much. Thomas is just on a roll. All 3 kills thus far for XSET, and they're up in a 4v2.
Big round there from Thomas, and he needed that one. Now on the board. And his team is slated to win this one. They'll have to deal with Yaga and Kino. C4 is poorly timed there, but at least it gives an angle for Yaga. It also gives away his presence, though, and he'll be directly confronted later in the round. Thomas finally downed and finished off by Kino. That's the Menace himself out of play, and it's all on the rest of XSET. Drip, though, picking up the slack. Down goes Kino, and now it's Yaga pushing in from Green Hall. He'll meet the bullets of Filthy, and unfortunately, he does not weather that storm. XSET get their very first round.
XSET were very quick to respond after everything started to go sideways with those picks, and I think that was ultimately the right call for them to make, taking advantage of whatever chaos there might have been on the end of Oxygen. They broke in, they got those picks early on. Thomas in particular, Foxay peeks it again. I don't know if that was a peek for intel or a peek to challenge, but when you're down numbers, you kind of have to go for it and hope to catch your opponent off guard. Now, a lot of people will question that 2v4 play that came out from OXG as to whether or not they needed to take those aggressive plays, but I think at that point, if you're Kino and you've got any bit of intel, you need to get a pick and then try to snowball it right away and catch somebody when they are not pushing together. At that particular point in the round, with over roughly a minute to go, you know that XSET are not all going to be arm in arm ready to link their way into the bomb site. They're still getting towards the target from other parts of the map. That's a perfect time to take a possible isolated pick against your opponent. Didn't work out. XSET read it appropriately. They maneuvered towards the site very quickly and picked off the last 2 members of OXG.
Now, bottom floor defense again, and it must be mentioned as per usual. It feels like this is just gospel at this point. The site that XSET just went on was your tertiary. It is your off-site, as we say. And that the expectation is that the attack will win on that one. So right now, this is a pretty typical Organ. There's no major deviation from the norm thus far. And it's good for XSET that they managed that too, because it looked like the pressure was on XSET to start things off. But now that they're winning, at least on the offsites, there's a high likelihood of a 4-2 half here, and that would be fine for the attacking team. It's so weird to say. Actually, I saw some talk on Twitter recently about how weird that is that we do that in Siege, because it's not a very normal thing for like the majority of games. Not to the extent that it is in Siege. Not as rigid as it is in Siege.
I mean, you've got a lot of games where one of the sides will have some form of advantage, but it's usually evened out by there being a card system, an economy, money, etc.,
Right.
or even just, short games where you'll play much faster than we tend to find. Rainbow Six is literally one long map with long rounds, not a ton of rounds, and if you flub it on one or two, that can be the difference between a win or a loss. If you are on a defender-favored map and you take 2 rounds to settle in, those 2 rounds can literally cost you the game within the first 6 minutes of play.
Yeah.
So, it's different, obviously.
Yeah. What's not different, though, is this setup from XSET. It's the same as the one we saw last time, and it's going in the same pacing as what we saw last time.
Well, there's the very first pick. It's a grenade again. It was Razor to get the very first pick on this site before. Now it's Drip to do it. Takes out Foxe. Foxe obviously playing on Goyo, very pivotal. And he was in that spot, and Kino sees the leg in the follow-up, but he's not fast enough. He'll need somebody from his team to come assist him, and he's been droned out, and he's going absolutely nowhere. Great punish from creators. XSET's post up over by Blue has so far been perfect, and there's been 2 kills that have come from him in that direction. It's a 3v5 for OXG right now. The 3 remaining players are Yaga, Vertical, and Laxing, and they're going to have to tackle this challenge quickly. There's still a minute to go. Plenty of time for XSET to dot their I's and cross their T's. Drones coming in. Yaga waiting very patiently. Most of this execute from XSET, by the way, is coming in that same direction that we talked about before, which is over by Blue, back by Tower. Grenade goes in. Will it hit its target? Well, it's down to Vertical. He can be secured, but it's Drip playing on this angle again. Nitro Cell botch does not connect one bit. Needs to be shot out. If it blows up, it will kill the Jaeger. Another grenade hits its target. And it seems like a flawless round for XSET is on the books as Thomas finishes it off and secures it. 2-2 on an impressive round from XSET, and one of the best rounds that they've had so far in this stage of NAL.
You can see Thomas is happy about that one, and rightfully so. Now, that is, as you said, Parker, probably one of the best rounds we've seen from XSET in this stage. No, not probably, certainly. Very well played, and, I talked about how the setup wasn't different. Well, the execution surely was. And we also saw some major mistakes being made by Oxygen. So Kino, if you're wondering why, he extended into Blue there. His thought process was, okay, my team's down a player. I need to get aggro to recoup that loss and put my team back in it. But usually you don't need to do that necessarily in a 5v4. You can. But it's a big gamble. And usually if you mess up that gamble or if you lose on that, then your team is out of the round entirely. And that's exactly what we saw. After Kino got aggressive in Blue, managed to get nothing for it, that was pretty much the end of the round right there. And you said it yourself when the action was happening, Parker. Cross their T's, dot their I's, and we saw exactly that from XSET. They did not mess up when they had the advantage. That's huge because we've seen them do that before. We've seen XSET throw away rounds. Not so here.
Great stuff for them. They've got Jarvis behind the bench, by the way. It's nice to see him back here in action. Funny enough, Hopes is behind the bench for OXG. The amount of former players who are presently coaches in the NAL is very high. On OXG, you've got Redeemer, former player, Jarvis, former player, behind the bench for XSET. Easily for Disrupt. Lycan, roughly 30 years ago, was a Rainbow Six Siege player for a couple different teams. Now he's the coach for SSG. TSM, their coach, is Pojo Man, who's currently playing because of visa issues with Geo, but once again, also a former player. Mint behind the bench for Dark Zero. Mirage is Guerra. He was never really a player particularly, but he's been involved in the scene for a while. By the way, while I'm talking about all this on your screen at the moment, let's highlight the Rainbow Six share skins. OXG does indeed have a skin in the game. XSET does not, at least not yet. They might get one in the next wave when more teams can potentially be admitted, but for now, It's OXG who's got a skin in the game. You can get it for the MP5K, and all revenue is split up between the teams, players, organizations, Ubisoft, and leagues, etc. So you can directly support the teams and the players on the team by purchasing those skins in-game. And of course, Michael, it's not just OXG who has them. There are a variety of teams in the NA League who've got skin in the game.
And not just the NA League, but really all professional play across Rainbow Six. So definitely check out the Esports tab in the store. A great way to support the teams that you personally care the most about, or just all of them if you happen to be feeling generous. Now, going into the next defense, it's once again a bottom floor hold here for Oxygen. This time, though, very different setup. They're going to have a more extensive roam. We've got Yaga on the top floor. And he's got to be worried here because XSET's drone work has been excellent. And this round already, it will spot Yaga out. Now, luckily for him, there's already a rotate in Attic, so he can make his way back to the site. Looks like he just wanted to waste some time and distract XSET for a few seconds. He's probably accomplished that. XSET will now have to full check the top floor before they confidently attack the bottom floor. And that can be really an effective strategy for the defense to waste time.
There's another one of those skins, by the way. Dark Zero's newest skin for the ARX is shown on your screen. It's available now, too. If you just want to support DZ, you can do so in the store once again. Anywho, another downstairs defense as we talked about. Some minor changes coming in from OXG here, but...
Oh, I like that. You see that?
What did I see?
They set up a hole above laundry stairs so that the default cam sees down through that hole at into the bottom of laundry stairs. So if the attackers don't shoot that default, you could call your staircase into sight. That's neat.
You know, I heard holes go both ways, Michael. I believe that was Emzo who said that one time on broadcast.
Yeah, he did say that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Obviously, the Capitao is a small change now for XSET, but other than that, he's got the hard breach tool, which means that he could potentially tackle Meeting Hall and get one of those hatches opened up upstairs. Obviously, the only hatch that they're going to need to be particularly concerned with in Meeting is going to be the one that looks down into E-Box. Drip's assault for a long time had been over towards Blue and Bunker, but no, he's getting that main stairs hatch while Thomas is right next to him. Unfortunately for XSET, this is a much slower pace than they probably want. 45 seconds remaining. They haven't been able to secure a single pick on Oxygen, which for Oxygen bodes quite well. But they've got the tools to set up very quickly on. You'll hear a bunch of toxic canisters going off on the other side. XSET throws out one of those fire arrows. Both have been expended, and now the smokes are going to go for Thomas too. And smoke goes both ways as well. Drip gets a kill on Aquino with the grenade, but is at least taken out by him, thanks to the smoke being there. So essentially, you trade out in a sacrifice. Maybe worth, we'll find out. Laxing and Yaga in on this one, leaving just Thomas now as he falls, as does Filthy. That one was quick. XSET are vanished from this earth after taking a little bit too long. And it's back to OXG having the lead up 3-2.
Yeah, quick when it hit the action, but slow in the preamble. Really odd execution setup there from XSET. I mean, that's the same thing we saw from them on the basement, though. You know, they had that round where they were really slow on the setup, and then they completely faltered when they were going for the executing through Blue. Then the second time going through Blue, they manage it. Now, obviously, that's partially due to the fact that OXG made a few crucial mistakes, but this time, no crucial mistakes at all being made by Oxygen. That roam delay strategy upstairs worked, clearly. Time wasted. XSET's back against the wall of time. They must push in, and it's an absolute meat grinder when the execute hits the proverbial fan. So, nice try there for XSET, at least in, you know, they went for an attempt, but really the setup just not adequate on the crossfires. And also, I really like the way that Oxygen set up with fully opening the laundry to freezer wall. Sometimes you get one reinforcement there. I think the double open up offers a lot more opportunity to stop a freezer push. And, you know, it's little things like that sometimes that go a really long way.
Well, very final defense right now. You mentioned it, that it was still time for a 3-3 split here, especially after XSET took that win on Meeting, and now with one of those wins on that laundry supply room attack, a bomb site that usually breaks in favor of the defense more often than not. I mean, XSET obviously have their work cut out for them. They're going to have to go back to dorms. This was a site that has only been played once thus far. Oxygen took it quite well off of that somewhat goofy setup that I'm sure is being memed about in Twitch chat and on social media with Yaga playing on the Legion and then the rest of the team coalescing around that. Yaga actually got a kill with that shotgun. He's got the T5 in hand, so we don't know if that shotgun was a deliberate choice or if he just played Legion and forgot.
Yeah, it's totally possible. I mean, I thought it was really weird. And because nobody brings that shotgun because the T5 is so good. Right off the bat, though, real quick, we're seeing some rotation here on util because Oxygen has already detected this is the same attack strategy as last time from XSET. It's a big window slash downstairs take, and we've seen these before. See if it works out better for XSET this time.
Well, the Ying on the board is going to be fascinating to watch. Obviously, she's had some changes over the last year, and her pick rate, especially on Oregon, has continued to tick upwards for a number of these teams, knowing that you can throw in a smoke and isolate the player who's going to be playing inside of dorms, and then also use those flashbangs to cause some chaos when you vault through that main window. Obviously, a nitro cell can be your undoing. Lucky for Drip, he tossed that grenade out at the right time. He could have potentially lost his life and maybe killed his teammate with him now, as half of the round has been burned, and XSET are actually in a position to get close to the site, but I don't think they've done enough to flush it out just yet. They're still using their utility downstairs to try and puncture this defense from Oxygen.
Ooh, this is a tenuous struggle here for both teams. That's not easy to take that angle. Obviously, the advantage will go for Oxygen, and it does actually on the HP. Razor now put low. This is the same bottleneck issue that XSET had last time they were here. This time, I don't think they have to worry about roamers as much. It's possible they do. And look at that. They're putting the extra angles on. They've got more big window presence. They're opening the games window. Possibly some dorms repel. That could make all the difference. Once again, though, vertical on the roam. He's going to be a problem that XSET will need to address.
And it was Creators who was on that anti-flank watch, and oh my goodness, Razor, you're looking the wrong way, friend. Vertical gets the opening pick. 40 seconds in there. The smokes. Candela's soon to follow, but no, Thomas actually misses it. Might end up blinding his teammate, and he's one of the few remaining as everybody from XSET is perishing. No flawless round, though, as Foxay's down for the count. Thomas has his work cut out for him. A 3v2, so it's still definitely winnable. He's got to have some angles into the site. Now Kino taking a bit of damage. Drip falls, he loses his duel to Laxing, and Thomas is the only hope for XSET to tie this up. If not, OXG walks out of it with a 4-2 lead. Thomas being pressured out of his spot. Laxing collects the very final kill needed for OXG. First half, Michael, in the books. 4-2 Oxygen.
Really got to commend Tommy for putting in so much effort there on that try. He was obviously the only one really actually able to fulfill his role in that round when XSET hit the site. Again, problems ensued. XSET just not able to win those fights. We'll switch halves now. So Oxygen's turn to attack 4-2 half, though, for both these teams. That's okay. XSET does not need to worry with a 4-2. Obviously, a 3-3 would be better. But on Oregon, now they've got the defense. That's going to be the advantage. We'll see how that one goes for them. Maybe they can, pull something out here. We'll go to overtime, some yada, yada, yada. But what we do know for sure, though, is that Oxygen only slipped up the one time on this map so far, and that was on their basement defense that they managed to lose. Ultimately, didn't really affect them too much.
So XSET's very first defense is going to be down below. Unsurprising, this is the bomb site that most teams are going to go to. Quick glance at the roles that are up at the moment. The only thing on defense that really stands out is Drip playing on that Maestro. Once again, Drip is the best performer on his team in terms of kill death, sitting at a 6 kills, 4 deaths. He has been the standout performer for XSET so far through the 2, now almost 3 matches that they've played over this stage, which is troubling. Not that Drip is a bad player, and please don't assume that I'm saying that, but Drip doesn't play on roles where he should be carrying your team. Drip is your insurance policy. He's not your entry. He's not your roamer. You look towards players on XSET like Razor, you look towards Filthy, maybe even Creators as the 3 that should be topping the scoreboard for your team. The fact that they aren't proves that either something is going wrong with the roles, and you might need to change something up, or that the team still has some issues to work on. Over on OXG side of things, Michael, there's nothing weird about this composition. These are very standard set operators. Michael, did you leave us? Because you're not saying anything.
Yeah, my microphone accidentally muted. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. The lineups. You were talking about the lineups. So I was going to mention how There's nothing too crazy going on here for either teams, frankly. The only thing that I'm still questioning is the Melusi pick, because apart from her util, she's still a really good operator, but Banshees are so much more counterable now, blah, 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 blah. I think she should be rotated out in favor of other operators. Valkyrie's still in play, blah, blah, blah. I would pick her. That's what I was saying. Sorry.
Well, there you go. Anyway, you're back, and that's all that matters. You're
Yes, it's nice to be here.
safe and secure. XSET, by the way, looked to be moving some of the utility that they had over towards Blue and Elbow, now realizing that OXG's forces are not focused on that particular execute. So pillar control, not as integral as it should be. It'll still be something that you need to hold down because you can watch back tower stairs if somebody does decide to flank, and you can also control where Razor is right now, which is the doorway to Freezer. That's going to be a crucial spot to play off of, and Razor contests it. Realizing that there's a minute 10 left, he tries to go for the fight, expects a follow-up, but he takes a lot of damage in the process and does nothing.
Yeah. And we did see one little thing there hurt Oxygen's attack, is they actually missed the lifeline onto the Goyo shield. They finally get it, but they had to expend another nade to do so. So at least the utility is peeled away, but XSET are getting good economy out of that.
There goes the Gon 6 as well, in the hands of Vertical. He'll now go on to Drone. Some damage being done to utility, but no damage being done to any of the operators. Yaga watching inside of Freezer. 40 seconds to go for OXG to pull this off. The last little bit of Razor has now been finished. Vertical gets him with a grenade. These grenades, Michael, have been so crucial for these opening picks. Filthy one, though. Nitro Cell connects for 2. He'll get out of Freezer very quickly. Immediately cycles back, though. Laxing is not looking in the correct direction. If this peek comes in from Filthy and it's looking in the right spot, Laxing will fall. XSET has the numbers advantage. They need to wait it out. Objective is in the hands of OXG. They see one in closet. Kino secures that as Vertical is watching over his shoulder. A Guardian Angel. 2 kills now for Kino as he continues to march in, and Diffuser in hand. Laxing shuts down Drip, and there goes Creators. OXG were in troubling spots, but they found their way out, and they take their very first attack.
Yeah, navigating that one was really impressive, honestly, Parker, for OXG. That should have been an XSET round. We're talking about mistakes. Yes, Oxygen did make a mistake similar to that when they were defending the bottom floor, but not nearly as egregious. The way that that played out is about as poorly as it could have for XSET after those first 2 kills from Filthy. And that's what I was going to say. You always kind of stack up your analysis for a round, right? Point out things to yourself and write them down mentally so that you can bring them up after. One of my key points was that, wow, what a round from Filthy. And he was going to be the saving grace there. He was about to save that because the defense for Freezer was not so locked up on the XSET side. It was pressured out really easily by Oxygen, but Filthy managed to punish. It looked like a vulnerability. It turned out to be a counterplay from XSET, and you love that when that happens. I thought it would carry XSET through into a victory, but they then forfeit all of their control, all of their crossfires. It's super odd. And then, yeah, Oxygen's like, yeah, thank you, we'll take that. Walks in, and, they lock up those angles, they get those picks, and they take the round. You cannot simply give up all of your angles after you get man advantage. That is going to result in a loss almost every single time, and that's what we saw there.
Well, XSET don't want to stick to that bottom floor sites. They're going to go up top to dorms and whip out a clash in the same process. OXG burned their timeout at the tail end of the 4th round. Since then, they have gone on to win every single round. So I know correlation doesn't equal causation, but the fact that they have taken every round since their timeout obviously suggests to me that something went right. It might not be the sole indicator of their success, but it certainly isn't hurting. As for XSET, they still have a timeout waiting to be used at any point. And I mean, Jarvis is going to be the one to call that. If the players don't call it themselves, they'll have to determine when is the most appropriate time to use it. If they lose this round, XSET will be on the knife's edge of a defeat. It will be a 6-2 scoreline for Oxygen, and XSET will have to take their timeout, realizing that they have no room for error. They'll need to go perfect for the remainder of the match to end up in a position to capitalize off of what that timeout could have. With all that said, Yaga's now getting droned in. We're a minute into round number 8, a crucial round for XSET, and the clash upon seeing the drone will now push up, and Yaga's position will be given away, and he's slowed for but a moment as he retreats into the dorm room.
Oh, the clash. We've seen some nasty stuff done with clash. Yesterday we saw clash on Chalet, and boy, did it make for some interesting siege. Kind of reminds me of the old Montaigne. You can't really do crazy things with Montaigne anymore because of what they did with the shields, nerfing them a while back. But Clash, you could definitely still get away with a lot of things because you have that slowing functionality. and it's hard to get up close and punish the shield for being a shield. So that's why we see her played from time to time. It's neat every time. Wonder if it's going to work for Thomas here. Already good hard destruction here done by Oxygen. They've got the avenues into the site that they want. They're going to be pushing Attic as well as the Closet. Now they can start trying for a pick on site.
This is being well played at the moment by Thomas, too. He hasn't exposed that backside of Clash at all, so you're not really too worried about getting picked up early on. And he's continuing to move through the site, wasting time. And now the utility will hopefully do the rest of that trick for XSET. Thomas, though, as I say that, does get punished by Yaga and picked off in the spot that he was in. Drip takes out Foxay. Both teams lose one player, but that's about it. Now it's an Attic split. Razor's dropped down by the air jab, and it's Laxing to take matters into his own hands. His gadget working wonders. Creator's a very bold swing, and it turns out in his favor. Both teams at a 3v3, but Creators wasn't long for this earth. After that kill, he's finished off. Kino now dropped too. So these teams are just effortlessly trading back and forth. Bad news for XSET, though, is that, well, they lost Drip. That puts Filthy in a 1v2 as Creators is in a position where he might as well be playing on a different map. He's unrecoverable. Filthy makes some noise inside a trophy, and he turns around, and it's a very easy secure. OXG takes that round as well. They are still perfect from their timeout, and it's 6-2 for them.
Okay. Well, Parker, I'd say that this is, unlike some of the matches we saw yesterday, a match that is, as of this moment, meeting expectations. We're going to see a tactical timeout from XSET. They can kind of recoup, figure out the mistakes they've been making, try to correct them. I like a lot of what I saw there from XSET. That push from Creators, absolutely the right thing to do in that situation. You're down a man. You need to recoup your losses. You need to put yourself in a more advantageous position. But then how are we hitting air jabs downstairs? Oh, no. And then Laxing, what amazing play from him to get a kill from below through the floor. His ceiling, of course. Overall, it's a story of XSET. I feel like they're growing. They are getting better. I'm seeing improvements here. But Oxygen are not stumbling too much here. The only round I have seen Oxygen so far make any major mistakes was that basement defense. And how long ago was that? That was 2 rounds we've seen from XSET so far. And it feels like they're, already slated for another L.
This is a tough streak for XSET. Obviously, this is only their 3rd game so far in the NA League because they had that bye, Michael. But since the start of the North American League in 2021, they have only won 1 map. That's it. I mean, if you're a team, you're going to be demotivated by these results. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know. Their only victory came back on April 13th, by the way. It was against Dark Zero. It was a 7-5. It was on this map, for the record. April 13th. It's almost July.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And
it's a tough one. As you pointed out, they are still a new team. This is a team that obviously the skeleton of the team was rent-free, that competed back in Challenger League, if you recall, but some of their players ended up moving off of the squad, if you recall. So you lose 2 very crucial players. You also had Sweater on that team, who is, at the moment, I believe, serving a 1-year ban from BattlEye and from Ubisoft competitive play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for you to look at this team and wonder what's going wrong. They dropped Butters from the squad during the offseason and brought in Razor. Razor obviously being a very promising young player and having relatively good stats and quite good stats in his amateur competition. But I mean, right now he's sitting at 3-7. It isn't exactly what they want out of him, and with the roles he's playing on, 3-7, frankly, is not very good.
Yeah, it could be better. It's still new, Parker. We have to keep that in mind. I mean, not everyone's going to acclimate as quickly as a player like Kino, for example, who, in stark contrast, 7-5 right now on support roles. But it happens. It happens. I do think that they're getting better. I don't want to, because I feel like every time we see XSET, it's just a harp on how, haha, you know, bottom of the league, haha. And I don't really feel that way about. I do think they've got long-term potential. There's something going on internally. We don't know what it is. We can't because we're not on the team, and it's causing problems. It's giving us matches like this, and this is not the first. I don't think it'll be the last. But right now in this round, Oxygen. Success on the hard breach. They've got the wall open into the closet. Another run out from Thomas. He obviously still has a camera out here, but once again, he will not see the success that he wants. And in fact, his teammate Razor, who we were just talking about, will be the first casualty of this round.
Unfortunate for XSET to lose that early on. The other thing, too, is that with the multiple runouts of Thomas, you know that his only way back into the site is going to come from White Stairs. You can just watch that angle if you're playing inside of Trophy. He's going to be effectively isolated. Now, it is a Valkyrie, and Nitrocell still on the board, so you have to worry about him pushing you from below.
Oh,
but outside
boy.
of that, you're going to have to be concerned with a lot of other things if you're XSET. Your numbers are going to continue to dwindle. Yaga picks up another kill for OXG before he gets traded out as he misses his shots onto Creators, but there's no secure, at least not yet. There you go. Toxic Ganister caught on out. Creators falls to Foxay. And this one right now is just a rough spot for XSET. They are swinging and fighting against Phantoms with Thomas now to rush into the site. And it's a hail of bullets to finish him off. 7-2 in favor of Oxygen. That was a quick one. OXG picks up the win in this match.
Oh, boy. Okay, you know, just at the end there, Kino dropped a Pepe laugh in the chat, and I think that's an appropriate response to what we just saw. Because, yeah, it was a 7-2. That's 2 rounds for XSET. But frankly, I don't really think I saw a whole lot from XSET that would suggest that they had any chance of taking that one. Oxygen essentially pick up a routine win and all the points that they expected, and they're happy. They get to hug each other. They get to be jovial. Really, it's the other side of the field that's, you know, in a bad spot right now. XSET, I can't imagine what's going through their heads.
I mean, at some point, you pointed it out. At some point, you know, Razor is going to continue to adjust to the spot that he has in the NA League. I mean, DP Fire came in, immediately made a splash. Quartz is now competing at a tier 1 level, immediately came in and made a splash. Not every player is going to do that, and you were absolutely correct when you said that. It could take some time, and it's also... it's a lot easier to come into a team that has consistently won and has players that have been around for a while and make your debut, as we see, you know, Pambazoo doing on DZ, or, you know, we've seen players do it in the past. For XSET, Razor is making his debut on still a relatively young team, and the team doesn't really have a culture of success and no real body of work that would suggest us to believe that they are used to winning and having those results. So it's a completely different environment for him to come into, and there's going to obviously be an adjustment period.
Yeah, there certainly will be, Parker. And, well, it was a one-sided match, but we do have more matches yet to play today. Up next will be the Sonics versus Beast Coast, but before that, a break. We'll catch you in a bit.